Hello, hello, hello. So I just wanted to get on here and riff a little bit. This is likely going to become a YouTube video, podcast episode, all the things. And today, the topic that I was really called to explore, I'll say it and then I'll explain it because it's very nuanced. It's sovereignty versus support. In other words, when is it time to seek help? And what does that mean? Something in my own journey that I have been working on for a tremendous amount of time, and I have the honor of helping other people through it as well, is independence, interdependence, codependence. What is the difference between all those things? Right. So, in this episode, in whatever this video turns out to be, I want to explore when is it time to lean on others and what does it mean without it turning into codependence. So thank you for joining me. I'm super excited. I've had this podcast for a while and I'll be doing literally anything. Like I'll be cooking or it's always in the shower. But literally whenever I'm in the shower, I get 4 or 5 ideas for just like, okay, this is what I'm called to share. And every time I follow these nuggets, these insights, that's kind of when I get the most feedback the most positive feedback, because that's what's aligned for, kind of what the collective has been asking to receive in terms of guidance. So that's what comes up for this episode. Again, super excited to be on here riffing, and let me go ahead and start by clarifying. I always come on here and drop like truths before I get into things. So let's start with one of those truths. Okay. If you're not, this isn't your first rodeo listening to me, and we already know as a truth that we create our own reality. So I create my own reality, you create your own reality, your parents create their own individual reality. That means we're all sovereign. So that means we're all, autonomous beings. I'm going to create my reality the way I see fit, consciously or subconsciously, on purpose, or forgetting that it's on purpose and by program. And so are you. So there's this concept of we are individuals, quote unquote. And I want to be really careful with my words here. And I know this may prompt questions because I'm diving deep. So please, in any capacity that you feel comfortable, if a question comes up, let me know. Write it in the comments, send it to me. Let's get this cleared up. Okay. So there's this concept of individuals. Okay. Sovereignty, that I am my own autonomous being. I create my own reality. This isn't the same as separation because, as we know, we're all connected. But it's really important that we understand that we are sovereign beings. I create my reality, you create your reality. Sometimes we are in, kind of the same container where we've created each other into each other's own realities, and that's really beautiful. So there is this concept of sovereignty, of I'm doing my thing, you're doing your thing, okay? And now where does that overlap with when is it time for me to get support? How can I lean on somebody else, knowing that all the answers are inside of myself? Because that's kind of the second truth here, is that if we're all sovereign beings, that means the answer is not within you, the answer is within me at all times. Okay, so whether you consider yourself a very independent person who doesn't like to rely on other people, or you consider yourself a little bit more codependent, how you like to reach out for help and you like to, get those answers, I want to do my best to provide some clarity here. So are we with me so far? I ask into the void. Are you with me? Okay. Understanding that we're sovereign. Understanding that at any given moment in time, whether you are physically alone in the room or there are 30 people around the room with you, you have the resources, you have the abilities to solve things for yourself. Okay. So that's a standard of truth that I want us all to ingest, digest, marinate on before we go into what support looks like and when is it time to talk to someone because you think you could really benefit from some extra help. Nailing in that whether or not you decide to talk to someone, the answers are within you. Okay. So now when is it time to reach out? Okay. When is it time to reach out? If you are, whether you're independent or dependent, considering yourself, yeah, right? And so you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm supposed to just do this all by myself, or maybe it would really help to kind of connect with someone. The answer is this. If you feel like you want clarity, if you feel like you want to get to the next level faster, I always recommend calling out for support. Okay. So take me, for example, I've been coaching for some years now. And even when I first started, it was, okay, who do I have for the next level? Who is my mentor? Who's going to get me there? And is that person living the life that I want? Is that person consistent? Is that person disciplined? Does that person have the values I want? Does that person have the results that I want? Okay. Because if I feel like I don't have it, even though I know the answers are within me, and I feel like they do have it, there's things that they can teach me that will come to me faster than a meditation or a reflection or defaulting on my own programming. Okay. So am I making sense here so far? Are we starting to marinate? Okay. So as somebody who I live and I preach, I don't like the word preach, but I live and I teach by the code of we all have everything within us. That being said, I always personally have my next level in mentors. So for example, right now, I have a business coach, I have a life coach, I have a yoga instructor, I have a fucking salsa teacher. I know I'm missing people. I have a financial team. So there's always somebody around me who's at my level or at a higher standard so that my outcomes are reflective of that versus anything different. Does that make sense? So if you're in this point, whether you're feeling amazing and you want to keep feeling amazing, or you're feeling less than optimal and you just want some guidance here, maybe you're a really independent person and you're like, okay, I just, I want to feel better and I know I can do it all. I just feel like I keep coming up on the same cycles. Maybe you're having a relationship thing, or you're feeling bad. Something's coming up and you're like getting frustrated because you know that you can do it yourself, but you're just kind of like, okay, this is kind of shitty. I know I'm independent and I'm not moving forward here. That's a telltale sign. It's time to look into support. Look into what support means. Because at the end of the day, whether or not you consider yourself independent, there's a standard that we're not ever separate. So whether you're alone or you're in groups, you're not separate from people. So where can you start to call in support in your life? Okay, I really want to open this conversation like that and really have you start to understand that having someone in that next level can really, really get you there as well. Okay, so that is something that it's always been kind of like a topic that's fascinated me. Where is the line between I can do this all by myself, and that's adulthood, that's maturity, that's, that's reality, is that we can and we do, and that's the standard, is that we're all doing it for ourselves. However, community, period. However, support, period. And how can I build a support network that's not just like Joe Schmo has $1 million, so I'm going to invest in his program because I want to have $1 million too. But how can I invest in a holistic support network where I can trust the people that are around me that aren't going to enable me, that aren't going to say, okay, Zoe, boohoo, poor you, and like give me some tissue. So I'm kind of staying in the same victim cycle, but people who are really around me to support me, not to support me because they're going to do the work for me or they're going to let me allow myself to stay small, but because they're going to reflect that back to me and they're going to invite me to do bigger every single time because they won't tolerate anything less, right? Do you ever have those people in your life that like you can't be small around them because they won't tolerate that shit? Like it's just and then you love being around them because every time you're around them, you're like, oh, okay, this feels really good. This is like a new version of me. And that's not because of them. It's because of who you're showing up as with them. Right. And that's a telltale sign. That's an amazing community for you to be in. Because that's the thing that you want to set up as a standard. So as somebody who is a coach, and at the time of this, we're in January of 2023, I have 2 one-on-one coaching virtual spots open. So if my message resonates with you and you want to find out more, please message me. You can go through Instagram as of right now. That's the quickest way, at the THE Zoe Olivia. right? So if you're interested in having that support right now, that's what I'm offering. But take a second with you. Take a second with you and say, who is someone that I can call on, whether they have the things, they feel the way I want to feel, or even just being in their presence or listening to their message, I feel an extra part of me is unlocked in a good, positive, healthy, sustainable direction. That's who you want to invest in. That's who you want to invest in every single time. And starting to look at dollars, starting to look at seconds, time, right, as an investment. And are the people around you, this is not a quote that I read this from a book somewhere, but it's like, are the people around you bills or assets? Are you losing? Is there no return on your investment or not? Or are you growing? Okay, so start to mull that over. And I'll tell a little story about this, because every mentor that I have ever invested in, and there have been quite a few by now, has been from this almost out of body, otherworldly sense that this person has something to teach me. Okay, so my current mentor, when I first heard him speak, like, and he has his own like way of teaching things, I didn't understand exactly what it is that he was saying. Like, maybe if you've listened to me or you have your own mentors that you listen to their podcasts, you listen to their content, and you're just kind of like on a soul level resonating, like, this person gets it. This person has something to teach me. Don't ignore that, because they do, right? Because they do. They have like a nugget in there for you. So how fast can you collect on that? Okay, and I want to close out this segment. I'm not really keeping track on how long it's even going. I'm just kind of talking. You guys know how I do, but I want to close this out by inviting you into another truth, which is that you are never alone. Okay, on this topic of sovereignty versus support, even if you're by yourself, you're not alone. Okay, and this can be a tougher pill to swallow for people who consider themselves quote unquote codependent or whatever it is, and they just want to be surrounded by people, and they invest in the kind of help that is more touch heavy, like that someone that they can call on to really give them that guidance. I want you to hear me when I say, even if there's no one in the room, even if your helplines aren't answering, you're not alone. You have source, which is infinite wisdom. Some people call it God, source, universe, that is always, always with you. It's not a big guy upstairs with a beard and he's like looking down on you and like chastising you and this is good and this is bad. That's inside of you at all times. Yes, it's also outside of you in everything that you see, but it's inside of you. So even when you're alone, quote unquote, you're not alone. You're not unsupported. You're always supported. So kind of sit into that. Let that feel like a cozy, warm jacket, because you got source. And if you look in the mirror, you'll see that you got you. So if you're looking in the mirror and you got you and you're just kind of like still feeling alone, that's when you do things like call out to a support. And I'm going to do another like little shtick, a little spiel on like, how do you find the right support? How do you, if you're going to do something like make an investment with a coach, which is likely, if it's a good coach, it's going to be a 5-figure investment, right? How do you choose the right fit for you? It's someone who is not going to encourage dependence, but is going to encourage you to come home to you. Who are you? How can you love you? And showing you through their own example how they did it. So I'm going to save that for my next one, because that was just born out of this conversation. I think that's going to be a pretty cool topic, especially if you're listening to this and you've never hired a coach before, or you've hired one, or maybe you've even had like a less than optimal experience with a coach. How can you connect with someone and just know that that's the right fit for you? So much love on this episode. Let me know what you think. Let me know if these concepts landed, if there's still some gaps, if you want to go into more. I'm here to support you, and I'm wishing you an amazing, amazing rest of your day. So much love and light on your journey. Have a good one.